Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Welcome to episode 59 of the Go Get That podcast. Thank you to Bob for joining us in picture form. No video for Bob.
High pixels.
We just have some really high quality pixels for you guys to see that are watching on YouTube. We had a camera malfunction.
I really wish the fans got to see this in full HD quality. It's truly a sight to see.
It's just one of the funniest photos I've ever seen. I mean, come on. All right.
I mean, I wish you guys could all see my reaction to me looking at this photo, because it's just, I feel like it would have been like a perfect punishment if I had lost anything, but I basically swept the table in all competitions we did this year. So there really was no punishment for me to be had. So yeah. I thought it'd be a good sport and, do it for the fans.
It's your championship reward. We'll put it that way.
And you look great. I mean,
yeah.
I think the 85-year-old style sunglasses really do the trick, No, those sunglasses are do you want a backstory to the picture?
Let us hear it.
It was last year at graduation where me and 5 other guys had to go because we had to represent the changing of the guard. It's something our school does where the seniors, the upcoming seniors come in and take all the stuff. It was that. And I showed up at 8:00 in the morning on a Sunday feeling terrible. I mean, I was not having it. And everyone there had sunglasses, and I did not own a pair of sunglasses since I have found a love for sunglasses, and I wear sunglasses all the time now. But anyways, I digress. I called my mom to bring me sunglasses when she showed up because she was coming anyways because she had to do something. And she bought these sunglasses that were just not for style. What the other 5 kids were going for was Men in Black, right? And the sunglasses just completely took that away because the sunglasses I bought were the type of sunglasses that 80-plus-year-olds wear to keep out the sun, not for looks. They don't care about looks anymore. They're literally just looking to keep out the sun. And it did that job, but man, did it look awful. And with all travesties come a positive, and the positive is this photo. So you're welcome.
Yeah, it's a fantastic photo. I don't even know if I'd call it a travesty, to be honest.
Well, I would. I definitely would.
The YouTube viewers are just salivating right now. I can tell.
Salivating. All right. Let's start. We're back, baby.
We are back. The purpose of this video is in part 1, the beautiful picture that Bob's sporting, but in part 2, we are recapping Jordan's 2021-2022 FedEx Cup season, which came to an end at Eastlake a couple weeks ago. Next week, we begin the 2022-2023 season. Not individually, but at the President's Cup, which is a part of the new season. So we had to, before the new season starts, come back and, review what was a okay campaign from Jordan. Nothing special, probably worse than the 2020-2021 campaign, but there were some positives. He won. It's always hard to win. And there were definitely some strengths of the season. Some things got worse, some things got better.
Yeah, I think we'll get into more of those here in a second, but I think finished kind of at Eastlake fit the season pretty well. I think it was 13th or something. and he kind of played like the 13th best player in the world all year. I think he is actually 13th in the world right now. So some good, some really bad. I think there was just not a lot of consistency. And, when we kind of go back through things, it'll be pretty clear to see that lack of consistency, lack of good finishes kind of in a row. Obviously, he caught a little bit of a hot streak at some point, but certainly an interesting season.
Yeah, I'd say, I think we're going to cover everything in this video, like pretty much every single event he played. And we are going to go back to the start of the season back at the CJ Cup all the way in last fall, which was his first event of the season. And it was a pretty good week at the CJ Cup, if memory stands. I don't think all three of us have probably amazing memories of every event this season, but the CJ Cup, he played pretty dang well. I know we came into that event with probably mixed expectations, and I think through 36 holes, he was right up there in Vegas, playing pretty well, and then he kind of, fell down the leaderboard on the weekend. But, he finished tied for 18th that week, and I'm pretty sure at the time we were pretty happy with that.
Well, the CJ Cup was one of the highlights of my season, personally, as a golf fan, as all. And it had nothing to do with Spieth at all. I mean, it was known worldwide as the Streb Week.
True.
Streb was like 14 under through like 6 holes on. It was something like that. It was something ridiculous. And that's where the Streb fandom began. I mean, it's where it's probably. I mean, I don't think it's too big of an exaggeration to say the podcast's biggest moment. When we deemed Streb a no name, and then he went out and shot like 11 under in like 16 holes. So it was an iconic week. Did Spieth play well? Yes. Was that probably the best golf he played all year? Also possible. It was
Wow.
definitely a bit of a tease.
Yeah.
I compare it to like the first hole at St. Andrews, where the tee shot's just a bit of a tease for the rest of the golf course. I'd compare it to that. I don't really think that the rest of the season lived up to that CJ Cup performance, but overall, just a really iconic week.
Yeah. So the CJ Cup was kind of the 3-iron off the tee for this season. Is what you're
agree.
kind of alluding to. Okay, I can agree with that. It was I remember Thursday, Friday were really good. It was kind of a slow start Thursday. He had that crazy flop shot chip in on one of the par threes out there. He drove it really well, made some putts, which was not kind of telling, was not foreshadowing what was going to happen this year. But I think he was in the final group on Saturday, and then he made nothing, which did foreshadow the entire season. But alas, I mean, it was 18 under. I think he lost by like 6, so not actually that bad of a week. That was the week Ricky Fowler played well, actually.
Rare occurrence.
Just because he went to go see Butch Harmon because it was down there. So.
Fowler's back.
No, I did. Butch Harmon works miracles. I don't know if Fowler was a miracle, but
for those of you who are looking to bounce back and to go get that bet next season, Ricky Fowler at those 100 to 1s could be slammable.
Well, I don't think he's got that many left. Like he's playing in Napa this week, which the season starts again this week, which is crazy. But like if people see any sort of ball striking form out of Fowler, the 100 to 1s disappear quick, really quick. But we'll see. That'll be a fun story to watch because it's a lot more fun when Ricky's playing well. I think it just adds to more events in the season. So we'll see how it goes. But
well, pertaining to Spieth, if we advance ahead from the CJ Cup, which was a pretty good week, we went to probably the worst week of the year for Jordan. which came all the way back in December. He had a nice layoff after the CJ Cup from October to December. And he finished 20th out of 20th at the Hero World Challenge.
Yes. Yeah, that's when
What
I
a week.
declared Bryce. That's when I declared Bryson more popular than Spieth or something like that. I can't quite remember my phrasing, but I also declared that if you dig a hole, you bring a ladder. So that was another good week in the podcast episodes. But yeah, not remember from the Hero. I think he was like 3 under through 6 or something. And then by Sunday he was teeing off from the wrong tee markers. So that kind of sums up how the week went.
Now
I don't-
that I would say is a perfect summation of the season. The T mark situation.
There's a lot of good summations.
Other iconic moments.
2 penalties in 1 week.
It was you know, I don't even know. It was a wild year. I mean, there's nobody quite like him on tour, but I'd say that this year was as weird of a, I mean, as I think since 2015, we've never really gotten any breaks. And I mean, it was just so weird to see him win the RBC, getting all those breaks. It was really weird. Just a weird year overall. And the win that he did, the way he won was so fitting. But it was, yeah, I mean, just like the T marker situation, like just so many different, like really weird things that happened this year. I mean, it was quite the ride.
Well, yeah, speaking of weird, literally the next time he plays at Torrey, he goes to the hospital the night before it starts or something like that. Or is
Oh
it the
yeah.
night in between? I can't remember. But whatever it was bad. And he obviously didn't play very well.
I mean, he got a stomach bug at the US Open, and me and Jordan almost didn't get to see him.
Yeah, I remember that. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a yikes.
Yeah, we were a little nervous.
Yeah. If it wasn't a major, I don't know if it would have played.
Well, some would say he would have been better off not playing. But
Man.
it would have been in the end, it would have been a kind of look back and regret moment for us. So I'm glad he did play, and he just continued to prove the amazing golf that he continues to play week in and week out. And honestly, it was a great experience. They set that course up great, so I'm not gonna bash that experience style. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, he played okay at the US Open, but I mean, yeah, so we went from Hero into January where we played the Century and the Farmers, both of which went pretty brutally bad with the T21 at the Tournament of Champions and the miscut at Torrey Pines. Probably the best thing to come out of that month was hearing that he probably won't be playing Torrey Pines anytime soon again, especially going into this new season. It was a slow start for Mr. Spieth in this.
Could I make an official statement on the Tournament of Champions?
Yeah, go ahead.
What a devastating decision to make it the Tournament of Champions plus
The Tour
FedEx Cup
Championship.
points winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
Really ruined. It was such a unique event. And say what you want about the event, because in the end, the course is very Mickey. But it's still fun to watch. And it just sucks. You know, it just sucks.
It does a little.
A little.
That's
It's not
going
the Tournament
forward,
of
right?
Champions. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
It's
yeah,
now an
so
elevated event.
right. It just seems like, and I kind of get it. But I thought it was a really cool mix of guys that were there usually, right? Because you'd get guys like Rahm and Rory and JT and Spieth because they all won, and then you'd get guys like, I don't know. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but like guys getting their first win on-
Brian Gay last year,
yeah. And then it's like,
who was ranked like dead last in the PGA Tour's like rankings of players this year.
yeah, no, so it's a good, it's fun. I get why they added more people to make it more of a kind of elevated marquee event. But it does kind of take like the guys who actually won. It does kind of take a little bit of the like excitement out. But there's only a couple dudes that make it that didn't win, right? So it's like it's not that big of a deal. How many guys are they adding? 5?
Something it just takes the prestige away. Like perfect
Yeah.
example, like Colin Morikawa, obviously a world-class player, but he didn't win last season. You don't deserve the right to go play at that exclusive event when you can't get the job done, win an event. I hate it.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
That was my statement.
Thigala will be there. He didn't win.
Not like he doesn't deserve to be there. It's not the Tournament of Champions.
It's a Tournament of Champions and Tour Championship attendees.
Yeah. Call it that. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, they do have to change the name if they're gonna allow more people in that aren't champions, you know.
Yeah.
Watch them have some sponsor exemptions in there. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, they honestly could.
They get Ricky Fowler in there. Man,
I mean, they just made the Tournament of Champions not the Tournament of Champions, so I mean, they can do whatever they want with it. They could make it a full 60, 70 guy field going forward.
True. Well, why don't they just
terrible.
send all the people at East like to Pebble Beach? That'd be fun. I'm sure the Pro-Am would love it.
Could use a better field. That's a good segue. That's a very good segue though, Dan, because after the Century and the Farmers, we went to Pebble Beach where we were very close to a win, but had it snatched by Mr. Hoagie. That
was so depressing.
Yeah, that stung, because at that point Jordan hadn't have won in, what was it, 10 months. We were salivating for another win. There was a weak field, one that he could take advantage of. He played really good golf. I mean, he didn't putt great on, what was it, Thursday and Friday, but I mean, the irons were insanely good all week, and then he just gets a little bit unlucky on the 17th hole, puts it in the bunker, misses a 5-footer for par, which we've said it already, kind of summed up the season, and came up just short of Mr. Hoagie, who grabbed his first tour win.
Yeah, and Hoagie played the back in 5 under. Is that right? 4 under?
Well, I will say a lot of people called it a choke, and I don't agree with that. But
it's not a choke.
I will say it was handed back to us at the RBC. So in the end, we did not deserve more than one win this year, so I'm okay with it.
That's correct.
But it was, I mean, Prime Tiger showed up in the back nine in the form of Thomas Hoagie, which is just something that will never happen again. So, yeah, it was a little disappointing.
I think that's kind of the crazy part is he got the win that I mean, we'll talk about it once we get into April, but he got the win he probably deserved the least. And given that he won that, could have very easily had 3 wins this year.
Well, I don't think he would have deserved the Travelers.
Yeah, he missed the cut.
I think there are a few events that he would have deserved less than the RBC. But
that's not what I'm talking about.
I mean, he didn't. If you think about it, like he did hit the ball like extremely well that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did lose millions and millions of shots. Do you remember that like 4-footer he missed on like 12 when he was like trying to get back into it? And he missed. When he teed off on that par 5, I was like not even like paying attention anymore. Like I thought it was.
What are you talking about?
The RBC.
Oh,
we're already an RBC talk.
Jeez.
See, I told you it would collapse.
That'd be the creme de la creme of this podcast, though.
Yeah, we'll get.
Most of it was crap all year.
Bob's just teasing it. He's teasing it.
Teaser, yeah.
I mean, we don't have much.
I'll go back to mute.
Go back to mute. I mean, Dan and I can carry, but
Oh
that
yeah.
was close.
I
And then
bring I bring the visual pleasure.
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
your beautiful photo.
Yeah, you have the face for TV.
Exactly.
Is what it is.
After Pebble, Jordan went 6 straight events without a top 20.
Mm.
Starting at Phoenix, which was absolutely
Oh,
brutal. The Hero was bad, but the Phoenix was an awful watch. He played so bad that week.
yeah, Phoenix was brutal. I think he had two eagles around though.
He
And he
shot
still
even better
shot,
that round.
yeah, even or one over, I think. Like it was just not good. Nothing was there. Everybody's expecting a lot after the like T what 4 the year before that kind of said like, hey, I'm back. Um yeah, I don't remember a ton about Phoenix.
You don't
Uh,
want to.
yeah, it was a cut watch week, probably, right? So
Yeah, it was brutal. Then after that, after Phoenix, we went to Genesis, which now live star Joaquin Neiman just, I mean, he beat the crap out of everyone. Probably one of the most dominant performances all year on this tour schedule was Neiman at Riviera. Spieth, I mean, played pretty well the first 2 days. He kind of Friday was iffy. He played great on Thursday. Friday was okay. If I recall, it could have been a lot better on Friday. And then similar to like CJ Cup, he just fell apart over the weekend, turned it into an average week. But I mean, I remember Thursday. I mean, he was, I think, 2 under through two. I know he played 10 and 11, which are both kind of birdie holes, but he made a putt on 10 to start his day. I remember it was like 7:30 in the morning, and we were hype at the time, especially after Phoenix, which was brutal. I think I mean, he played okay that week.
That was pretty hype. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Genesis was I think through 28 holes he was 10 under. He was 6 back of Neiman, but he was in like solo second and making a lot of putts. And then it just kind of stalled. The rest of the week wasn't very good. And we were like, okay, made some putts. Because at this point, like I think we had started questioning the putting a little bit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think so. So that gave, a little bit of like, okay, there's something there, but then what? We didn't see him again till match play because he skipped
The
the
Players
players
Championship.
because
Players
he
Championship.
skipped the Arnold Palmer, which he will not be doing going forward, but we thought he'd show up there and he didn't, which was a little
Pathetic.
surprising. Yeah.
Looking back on the season, I know all three of us are in agreement on this. He should have been at the Arnold Palmer. There's just, I mean, that is like the perfect like prep week, especially with the players. I think the players is the week after, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, just the API, you get hard golf in. And I mean, to that point, I mean, Genesis played super easy. Phoenix, I guess, played a little bit harder than it usually does. He missed the cut at Farmers. I just think API is a great golf course to really see where your game is. It's not a birdie fest. I mean, especially this year. I mean, it was an awesome watch, and I think what Scotty won it, like, what did Scotty win at? Like 2 or 3 under par?
It was
He was
5.
5 under,
I think
and
it was 5.
I remember at the time, I mean, we were just screaming at each other like this would have been a great chance for Jordan to maybe win just because his game at that point really suited what that golf course was offering up, and lo and behold, he doesn't show up to even play.
Yeah. And then he basically didn't show up the next week either at the players, given that crazy weather that kind of just, I mean, he barely broke 80 on Friday, right?
I was thinking about this, and if he's in the other draw, you never know.
No, he still would have played poorly. I don't
I mean, you never know.
He might have shot 75 on Friday instead of what did he shoot 78 or 79?
I'm just looking back at what did he shoot on that Thursday? Whenever he shot like something high as
I think
70.
he shot like 74 on Thursday. Remember, it ended on Friday because they had the horrible weather.
No, he shot a worse round than that, right?
I thought it was just a
No,
74.
No, I just remember the
Oh.
comments were like, "It's okay. Conditions were tough. If he was in the other wave, he would be top 10." Like, come on.
You'd be a fool to believe that.
So, I love my comment section. It's a great mixture of like intelligence.
So he
And
shot 72 in the first round. That took
What did
3
you shoot in the
days to
second
play.
round?
79.
Oh, so that's the round. Yeah.
Yeah. He came out because he had to play 17 and 18. And remember, that's when he was on the bridge long on 17. Because of course he got the wind wrong and he bogeyed 17 and 18 to shoot freaking even par in the 3-day first round.
Can't even. Oh my god. What a guy. What a guy.
The bridge was a meme.
Everything he does is a meme. I mean,
Practically, yeah.
ugh. It's tough to even like look back at the season and like be serious about it just because like it was such a there was no like time where we were serious. Like it was all just a bunch of like every different podcast would be talking about something that was like a joke, like a meme, something that happened that week that he did. Like it was never golf was never the main topic this year, I feel like.
Well, not golfing his ball. I'd say putting his ball was definitely a topic.
Well,
It was
some would
never
say.
about hitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well summed up. And then after the players, we went to the match play, which was like pulling teeth. That was another really poor showing.
Yeah, that was disappointing because he won the first match.
I mean, he just played worse than everyone he played. Besides, he beat Keegan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
Freaking
Keegan and he
pillow
beat,
fight.
and
Yeah.
then I mean to lose to Rose and Scott. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. He just played
That
worse
was
than both of them.
Keegan missed like 4 putts inside of 6 feet.
Yeah, I know.
Like it was Keegan probably shot 76 and Spieth beat him on 18. Like that was not a good week.
No.
Another one. But there were a lot of them that kind of in the early part of the year.
Well, yeah, because after the match play, he followed it up with Valero with the worst putting performance of the season.
Yeah.
That was brutal because he struck it so well at Valero, and he probably could have defended if he would have. If he puts average, he's probably a top 5 finish.
Yeah. No, he led the field in tee to green that week. Granted, a lot of it came from Sunday.
I feel like he led the field tee to green like a lot of weeks.
A lot of weeks, yeah.
Yeah, he led. There was like a couple week stretch where, he led. Well, we're about to get into it actually, but yeah. So Valero he led, and then obviously, all right, we're thinking, hey, he's hitting the ball pretty well. We go to Augusta, no greens books here, and maybe he can putt well, maybe he can make a move, and I
That
mean,
didn't happen.
Rays Creek gobbles him up on Friday. And he still should have made the cut. 18 was brutal. Double bogey, and it just very disappointing week.
Yeah, it was. I remember after it was a very somber podcast. I don't think we did a podcast on Friday after he missed the cut because it was depressing. We were talking about it on Sunday after Scotty won, how embarrassing it was that he missed the cut, just because it's a small field, and I think it's top.
No, you have to play really bad to miss the cut.
Yeah, like it's bad. I mean, like I think it's top 60 in ties or something, and there's only like
it's like it's not
80 guys
it's
in the
50,
field.
I think.
Top
It's
50.
50.
Yeah, I mean more than half the.
But like, I mean, there's probably 20 guys in that field who like physically can't make the cut.
Yeah, your Larry
So
Mises
it's
of the
off.
world.
It's
Your Phil
basically
Mickelsons of the
it's
world.
basically 50 for 70. So it's not good to miss the cut there. No.
Yeah.
I mean, he was what was he +6?
Yeah, really bad.
Jesus. Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was depressing too.
And then
it so well, and then he just makes a mess at his happy place.
Yeah. But then the commitment to Mr. Heritage came on that Friday, pretty shortly after the round as
Yep.
well. I think we talked about it at the time. Like, was it because he missed the cut? I think he was going there anyway. Um, but
Well, he loves the course. I've spoken very highly of it. Playing there, even though he's never putted the greens well, which he still didn't. But yeah, I think he was always going.
yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I remember Jordan and I playing a little 2K to scout out the course. And like in theory, we thought, hey, like I don't know how much you remember about it, but if you hit driver well, you give yourself a lot of wedges. And we felt like driver was probably his best club through the early part of the year. Obviously didn't think it turned into a win because the rest of the game just seemed too far off. But man, what a crazy week that was. Right? It felt so meh Thursday and Friday. And then just to have that like
I
slow
was
Saturday with that eagle stretch on Saturday into Sunday, and then just the collapse by everybody else.
I mean, I was doing some research because I love odds. And speaking of odds, I mean, what a menace for Elise to hit another outright at the BMW this week. I mean, that's
Elite
ridiculous.
doesn't miss, man.
Yeah, she doesn't miss. We can't wait to have her back. We can't really have her back for the President's Cup because like there's nothing to bet on. But anyways, he was 275 to 1 when he teed off 18. That is ridiculous. Like ridiculous. When JJ Spawn won, he was somewhere in the hundreds. I don't think someone in the 200 to ones, just to put in perspective, I'm sure there's been some live thing that's hit, but like if you're looking just from like to put into perspective, the last time a 200 to 1 person won a tournament was like, I mean, I don't even know.
You could I think people found 200s on Phil at the PGA at Kiowa.
Okay,
point.
that's fair. I thought he was 125, but
Yeah, I think in general a lot of them in that 120 to 150 range, but I think
maybe there was some 201, but like
200.
271 is like,
That's absurd.
I mean, the Arizona Coyotes to win the Stanley Cup is one.
And that ain't happening, folks.
And that is, they're playing in the stadium with 3,000 people.
Professional hockey team.
Have you seen that, Dan?
No,
They're playing in Arizona State Stadium this year.
they're not playing at. Didn't they normally play at Glendale?
Yeah,
But,
but they couldn't pay the electric bill. Like that's where they're at as an organization. And they
you're
were
telling me-
100 to 1. And Spieth was 275 to 1 when he teed off 18.
You're telling me that they don't have the skills to pay the bills, is what's going on there.
Skills. I mean, no one will buy anything. But I mean, just to put in like just putting in perspective, I mean, when who was it that when Tom Kim quadded the first hole, he was like 120 to 1. Like 275 to 1 is like, so that's like such a long shot. And to just have everything, I mean, he literally have to had everything happen up into including the bad luck in the bunker for Cantley. Because if Cantley gets a clean lie, he gets that up and down, and we head back to 18 again. And who knows what happens.
But
So,
yeah, I think it's funny looking back at kind of the names that were there, right? So Cantlay obviously was in the playoff. It was a 1v1. Lowry, basically as soon as Spieth finished, Lowry chipped it into the water on 14. Never
That
got
was
any
awesome.
back. Varner didn't do anything.
Varner never
Cantlay,
does anything on Sunday.
Cantlay didn't birdie the par five. Sepp Straka poured in a bomb on 17. I
He
think
bogeyed 18.
And that's where I
Oh, yeah.
thought that the luck ran out.
right, but then he like chipped. He hit it into the hazard, hit a chip to like 12 feet and missed the putt on 18 for bogey, so he was out.
Yeah.
And it was like what is going on? And just the only thing at the top, it just like on the CBS broadcast is one Spieth minus 13 the whole time until Cantlay finished. And it's like, are you kidding me? It's crazy.
Yeah.
He finished like T5 when he finished. T4 maybe. Like it was anyway.
It's crazy. But it's crazy to see the mentality because Jordan walked off and obviously Lowry chipped into the water at them, but he was still probably 150 to 1. And he was like mentally ready for the playoff. Like he told the kids, like, I have to go to the range. Like, I mean, when he fist pumped that in on 18, in his mind, he was like, okay, that gives me a chance. Like he was always like his mental was always that he was still in it. Which is just really interesting to see because I think a lot of guys do that when we don't look because they never ended up winning. But until like they mathematically can't win, like they have to be ready for whatever happens. Which I think was really cool. It was a really cool side of it because I've never really seen anything like it in depth. Obviously there have been some crazy Garrick Higo won from like 8 groups back, but like he was a few shots clear. I mean, it was still a huge choke, but like at least he was in the clubhouse. I mean, I don't think Spieth ever had. Yeah, Spieth never had the lead within like 2 hours when he finished. Like the whole back nine, I don't think he ever had the lead, right? I
No.
think that's
No.
that's
And he had
pretty ridiculous.
chances too, and he still, I mean,
Oh, he had plenty.
didn't birdie
but,
the par five. I mean,
Yeah.
he made a
But
couple
like
bogeys
even
too.
if he had birdied that par 5, I still thought it was over.
Yeah, I think we were all
Um,
talking like 14, and he never got there.
Yeah, what did he win at? 13?
13.
Yeah,
And I mean, it was over like as soon as they got to 18T for the playoff and Greller wasn't wearing a bib. I mean, you knew it was over. There was no way Spieth was losing.
yeah, it's
Greller showing up
true.
with no bib.
That's true. That was quite the alpha move. He does that a lot, by the way. He walks the first two of those bib all the time.
He runs the damn show, man.
That's right.
That's awesome. That was I mean, we talked about the strokes gained tee to green. Like that was another week where he led the field strokes gained tee to green.
That was such like a fever dream, man. Like it was such a weird situation. And it was on Easter and it was crazy. Crazy.
Next year on
But
Easter.
it's good that we got the win because we went so many years without a win. So
many.
we've extended the win streak to 2 years.
True. It's not wrong.
And then go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I took a little time off after that, and it kind of I was a little worried the ball strike was gonna go, but it didn't. At Byron Nelson. I mean, that was another really, really good showing.
Yeah, that was. I mean,
that was his best showing.
That was the best golf of the year that he played, and he just got
because he made some putts that week too.
He got KH lead. It happens to the best of us.
Which again is just ridiculous. Like KH Lee is like just KH Lee is the type of guy that you see at the top of the leaderboard on a Sunday, and he's like the only one in like black numbers for the day. Like everyone's under par, and he's just sitting there at like +2 for the day. Like that's KH Lee every Sunday, and KH Lee played unbeatable golf on that Sunday. It's just the luck, man. The luck is. But again, I stand by my statement. We did deserve to win more than one tournament this year. I'd say we did deserve to win one. As much as I don't think he played well compared to last year, I definitely think he deserved to win one of the RBC and not RBC. I definitely think he deserved to win either Pebble or Byron Nelson. And it was weird that he got it at RBC, but I think he deserved one. I don't think you can make a case that he deserved more than one. And I don't think he played better than last year at all. But last year he did deserve more than one, or should have had more than one. But I think overall the results kind of spoke for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll keep going, obviously, but yeah, I think one was probably, I mean, the magic number. I mean, for the most part of the season, he struck it pretty damn well. He's was pretty consistent all year. I mean, he had a couple off weeks with the ball striking, but for the most part, it was really good. And I mean, the week he won, he didn't even find anything with the putter. He just outstruck everyone, you know, had the luck go his way that he didn't have go his way at the Heritage. I mean, not the Heritage, the Byron Nelson and Pebble.
Yeah, it kind of felt like his expected win total for the year. Those expected goal football fans out there. Kind of felt like it was like a 1.3. Because Byron, like, he wins just based on his number. I think strokes gain numbers quite a bit, quite often. And then kind of the same thing with Pebble. But then in theory, he's extremely lucky at RBC. So I guess it worked out. You just keep putting yourself in those positions, and you never know what's going to happen. But that, I mean, after the Byron Nelson, we're thinking like, all right, hey, great shot for the slam this week. And to be honest, it kind of set the tone for the rest of the summer.
It was dead quite early.
It was dead after 18 holes.
What did you say?
It was dead after 18 holes.
It was dead after like 4.
Wasn't he like 1 under through 4 though?
When he walked to the par 5 and didn't birdie it, it was caked. You could just tell like the vibe wasn't there. Like he wasn't. Yeah. He's never been someone who really lived up to those like big. He's never, like. I don't want to say he's never lived up to anything because I mean the man won the Masters and then backed it up with the U.S. Open. I mean that's ridiculous, but like recently, every time he's been the story, he's never even played well. So
that's fair.
We'll see.
Yeah, kind of. PGA was weird though because at the end of the day, 5 under got a playoff, 6 under won it. So even though I think
it was so winnable,
even though I think Thursday was 2 over, and it kind of felt like, and then Friday he got it back to even. It on after 35 holes, obviously bogeyed 18 again, but it's like I don't know. He didn't do enough lurking this year. There was just no consistency. Honestly, even round to round. I don't know if round 3 and 4 were much of the same kind of like slightly over par golf. That's just not good enough at a major. Even though it felt like it was one that he could win. And kind of the same thing the next week at the Schwab, right? Winner was 9 under, and that's, he was 5 under through 2 rounds. So kind of just, it's like, man, they're just not that he doesn't have grit or whatever. It just there wasn't a lot of scorecard grit, I'll call it.
There was no grit this season. Just saying.
Not a lot of good pars.
That was pretty much the story the last few months, and Bob and I just harp on all the time. There's never a good par because he'd miss every putt, or he'd 3-putt from 30 feet. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, the PGA and the Schwab back to back were both brutal because the Schwab easily could have won, and the PGA at least he could have been in the pick. I mean, just imagine if he had a chance at the Slam on Sunday. Like just being in the picture would have been absolutely insane to be able to go to bed on Saturday night and be within 3, maybe even 5 shots of taking home the Grand Slam. And he just, of course, couldn't make anything. And then the Schwab was just bad. I mean, like a T7's, I guess, never bad, but I mean, he didn't need to play much better to have held up the trophy on Sunday.
Yeah. And he certainly didn't play his best, right?
No.
Like it was his C plus B minus stuff at best. Um yeah, so it just that point the putter was a serious concern. Obviously it was after RBC, but at that point it's like, all right, you've had some time. You had probably the tournament that you want to win the most, and I think I read something. He lost his swing on Monday of the PGA week. Like, come on. That's how is that even possible?
That infuriated me so much when he
But
said that.
that's so Spiethy though.
That's so sweet.
So yeah, I don't even know what happened after Schwab.
We went to Memorial where the putter actually, cooperated for once. And of course, like all elite players, Spieth lost the ball striking. So of course, just wasn't a week he was going to win. I mean, when you lose your swing and you're Jordan Spieth, it takes like 3 to 4 weeks to figure it out again. Um, I just it's so annoying. You watch any like Rory, for example. Rory has a bad week, the ball striking. Next week he bounces back and he strikes it great. I mean, Spieth, I mean, it's just the normal like train wreck that it usually is. I mean, I guess he struck it okay the following week at the US Open, but of course the Travelers, he just like where does that come from? Up into the Travelers, he's striking it like amazingly all year, and then Bob goes to see him in person. I mean, he's hitting it all over the place. I don't understand it.
Uh, no, I think it's his kind of ups and downs have a pretty big separation between them. There's definitely a more mathy word for that, but I can't think of what it is. The range of his performance, the variance is pretty high, right? And I think sometimes it can take him a while to figure out the swing, but then when he does, he reaches a pretty high peak, right? We saw that at RBC, we saw that at the Byron Nelson, but then it just falls off, right? Because it's hard to stay at that peak. So, I mean, he's talked about, getting more consistent for next year, but I think the summer really, I mean, kind of the whole season summed up the whole season, right? I know it's like, duh. Yeah, no kidding. That's how it works. But it really, like, the inconsistency, not necessarily in some of the placements in the summer because they were all not that great, but just the way in which he placed in certain events was crazy, right? So yeah, Traveler was awful. I know you were there, Bob, and you got to see round two.
Round two is
I did. Thankfully the better day to see. And yeah, it was a fun round to watch. It was sort of like really stress free. So yeah. I don't really have much more to say about that because I really don't remember the exact things that happened. There was nothing really memorable. He just played really solid golf, which we just didn't see very often all year.
Yeah.
Just kind of grind his way around. One thing I definitely stuck out to me was he made pars that he hadn't been making all year. Like he parred the hard holes and like that's the key to success. So um it's that simple. You gotta par the hard holes. And we've been harping on that all year. So yeah, it's just pretty simple.
It's funny that you mentioned parring the hard holes, and then we had after the Travelers to the Scottish, where he again, I mean, he could have won at the Scottish. He played the 18th hole so bad. Kind of a theme of his stay in Europe between both the Genesis and the Open, whether it be 18 and the Scottish Open or in the road hole at St. Andrews. I mean, just sloppy. I
Yeah.
mean, especially like hard. I get their hard holes, but like if you want to win golf tournaments, you just got to make par on them.
Yeah.
It's just like making birdie on a par five. He couldn't do that for a lot of events this season. And the Scottish was fun. I mean, in the picture at the Scottish. I mean, if you look back, he really, I mean, the Byron was probably the previous time before the Scottish where he was really in serious contention, and it was fun. And then he makes a double bogey, a really bad double bogey on Sunday at a
Really bad.
relatively benign hole, and there goes your tournament.
Well, yeah, it was one back with 5 to play on Sunday. And we're like, where did this come from? Because Thursday he started making everything, right? He had those 5 birdies in a row. And we're like, oh, Spieth in Scotland, the UK, like spot. And then it just kind of petered out. He kind of stood. He left out some out there all week, and then he kind of worked himself back into contention. Obviously, I think Xander ended up at like 8 anyway, so it didn't really matter too much. But to get to 5 and then instantly go to 3 and then back to 2, just kind of a brutal way to finish the week. Yeah, and then same thing at St. Andrews, right? It was like just not good enough, even though it wasn't in the end not all that bad. It just couldn't maintain any momentum for any serious stretch of holes, and the momentum didn't end with like 4 pars. It ended with back-to-back bogeys or something like that. So he dug himself quite a few holes basically every tournament.
Yeah, I mean, St. Andrews was the classic Rory backdoor top 10. I mean, Spieth was never in the tournament. And to be fair, he would have needed to play one of the best weeks of his life to win. Unlike RBC, where he won playing very meh golf, he would have needed to play absolutely outstanding to win at St. Andrews, which is obviously a tough ask. But I mean, again, just couldn't. Would he play the road hole in 3 over for the week? It's simple stuff like that. You make pars. I mean, you shoot even pars at 3 over. I mean, we're talking about being in serious contention at the golf tournament.
Let me say one thing. First of all, I would have been very happy with 1 over on that hole that week.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for no bogeys on any hard holes. I'm just asking for no, like, if you have a 7-iron from the middle of the fairway, because if you're in 7-iron into a par 4, that's a hard hole. Like, don't make a 5 in the stupidest way possible by hitting a bad shot, but you left yourself in the right spot, and then you chip it to 60 feet. Like, that's not what you should do. The 3 putts killed me all year.
Yeah.
It's the way they made pars.
Yeah, I mean, St. Andrews was, it was a lag putting competition, and he 3-putted like 3 or 4 times on Thursday. Thursday was an extremely pathetic round. I think he was in the tougher way, but he shot even. And I mean, he kind of said it best, I think, on Saturday. If you're shooting even around St. Andrews, you're toast. I mean, it's a cool golf course because you can go super low, and I mean, but it was kind of tough on Thursday, if I recall, and still even just was not good enough. I mean, he took himself out of all 4 majors on Thursday, which is really uncharacteristic for him. I mean, he's always been usually rising to the occasion in contention at majors, and he was in contention at 0 majors this year. So, I mean,
Yeah.
as we like to say, I mean, the season's kind of over for him after the Open, and based on how he played in the playoffs, kind of was the case.
Yeah, I gave it a little run at the BMW. I think my internet's kind of going in and out, so I'm not sure if you guys are hearing this or not, but
We can hear you.
okay. Yeah, you gave it a little run at the BMW, but then it kind of fell apart on number 5. I actually kind of East Lake was like not too bad, I thought. Obviously he didn't make he needed to play like perfect golf to be anywhere close to contention. But or at least his season's perfect golf, right? The best golf of the season, probably. And he just didn't have it. So we'll see. I mean, I'm sure he's getting ready for the President's Cup. Don't think there's a baby on the way this off season. Texas football is better than
They're
maybe
back.
so like
Texas football is back.
He should be feeling good.
Well, except for the fact that Ewers is out. But if Ewers was healthy the entire season, I'm confident that they make the playoff.
Wow.
What?
Because
That's
they would have beat
blasphemous.
Alabama.
Out of 12 teams, they definitely.
There's no 12
There's no
teams.
12 teams this year,
You're kidding me, right?
moron.
Well, let me just say this. I need to come clean as a casual Texas football fan, purely just on the fact that they just don't win enough for me to be able to keep up with them as a diehard.
You're a Dolphins fan.
Exactly. Like, if Texas got good again, yes, I would be back to being I would root for them a lot more heavy. Was I devastated when they lost on a pretty horrific call against Alabama? Yes. But I'm not ashamed to say that I did think that it was 12 teams this year. I definitely did.
I mean, you're just showing how big
When
of
does
a
that start?
college football fan you are.
When does that start?
I think it's still 2 or 3 years out, right, Dan?
Yeah, I actually don't know, but I think
Oh,
it's
that's awful.
not this year.
Ugh,
It happens.
I was gonna say, because we won't need the 12 teams once Arch Manning comes. It's like, then you just keep it at 4 at that point. I mean, might as well take out some of the coaching.
Well,
We don't want to let any upsets.
Well, wait.
get in the
Well, you're
way.
going to be joining the SEC pretty soon, so that'll be tough. You'll have to
Well,
play
it'll
Bama and
still be a top
Georgia and
4 performance.
I mean, you
So-
might be a top 4 team in the SEC.
LSU's pretty bad besides Burrow.
Yeah, you never know though. LSU can. They've had their moments.
I mean, they
Well-
got just a pure Southern coach and Brian Kelly leading the ship. I mean,
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. They're not doing anything with Brian Kelly down there.
Well, my day's been ruined now. I really thought that it was 12 and Texas was gonna make the playoff.
you learn something new every day. I have an exercise.
That being said, if Texas doesn't lose another game, they get into the playoff.
That's
So-
not happening. And no,
Will it happen?
no.
I mean, I'd say it's probable that UTSA wins this week,
Yes,
but
the real Texas,
but what?
the real Texas, UTSA.
Yeah, I don't even know if UTSA stands for something in Texas. It's like the Roadrunners or something, but they're a basketball school. I do think, while we're on the topic of college football, I do think Michigan is the second best team in the country right now.
Whoa.
Does
I
the
do not think
Michigan
Alabama is that
Wolverine
good.
Dan even
I
think
really
that's
don't
true?
think Alabama is that good. I mean, Texas is. Listen, I mean, I'm a realistic fan. Texas is
No, you're
back,
not.
but like they're not that good, and they easily would have beat Alabama by a few scores if
few
viewers were
scores.
in that game.
It's tough.
I mean, with the way their defense played, I mean,
It's tough though. Like
well, they
It's
would have
hard-
won the game at least.
maybe. It's tough
No,
to
you
call.
can't say that. It was obvious.
Well, you can't.
A
Okay.
just
backup
called himself a
QB on
realistic
one
fan.
leg almost. beat
Yeah, no. I mean, I could. It's very plausible that Texas would have won if Ewers was still healthy.
by 20. Yes.
But I think that I just, I don't know. We'll see. I just in general, I don't think you can count out Bama.
Yeah, obviously you can't, but like I'm very high. I think JJ is very good.
I
So,
do too.
It was
Fair.
mad funny because I was in the chat and one of my friends had Michigan spread and JJ was they were up like 50-0 on like a 56 points and Cade came in and sold it and they won by like 52.
Yeah, no,
Hawaii is the worst team in the division.
yeah, Hawaii. I mean, dude, we play UConn next week, so
Well, actually, one of my friends, his best friend growing up is the UConn QB next year. His name's Tucker McDonald.
Poor guy.
He goes to the local public school. And
he might get them to 2 wins this season.
no, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, not even.
What's it?
I'll hold back my opinions on his play.
He's shaking in his boots listening to you right now.
I mean,
I think the sunglasses.
I highly doubt he listens to this, but if
Good luck.
I'll tell you later.
I think the sunglasses make you sound more sophisticated.
Yeah.
You know, I
Make it
was thinking
part of your
about
permanent
what
repertoire, please.
I was thinking about what people are thinking listening to me and looking at that. Like, that should be so disturbing. Like, you look at that picture and you're like, oh my God, his eyes are like staring right at me. Like,
It's a stud.
well, I wouldn't say that.
Dan,
That's not the vibes I get from that picture.
Dan,
Yes.
sum up Spieth's season in one word.
Mm, The only word that like pops to my head right now is inconsistent, but that's kind of bland. So bland. That's what I'll
Bland. Not Richard. Bob, give us
Like-
one word.
Yeah, Bob, I feel like you got a good one, kind of up your sleeves or behind your sunglasses.
um,
Some deep thinking.
well, I have a word and I have a set and I have a statement. Like a word and then I have like a phrase.
All
Like
right.
one statement to
Okay.
describe.
Well, give us the
Let us
word
hear it.
first.
Well, I don't want to say word. It's a little mean. I feel like all of this needs to be taken with a grain of salt because I'm a very passionate fan, and obviously I love Spieth very much. And if he listened to this, he'd probably be very sad. But
Sure he'd care. Go
What
ahead.
is this word?
I'd say failure.
Okay.
Personally, just for me, I'm really disappointed in how this season went. I would have liked a lot more out of it.
I
Me and
bet you
Jordan
he-
talked about how if he only got one win this season, it would be a little disappointing.
Yeah.
And I just think it's even more disappointing given how well he hit the ball.
I I bet you he thinks it's a bit of a failure.
I'm
in
sure he
some
does.
Yeah.
aspects.
I mean, I think he said
I mean, I
publicly.
never want to. I always hate those comments. It's like, oh, I bet you can do better. Like, no, I can't. Like, I understand that. Like, I'm watching. And as a fan, I think it's a failure personally. Like,
Yeah.
no, I could not do better than him. Like,
I love
it's
when
such a
people
bad
say that.
comparison.
They'll tweet you on Twitter. Like, you go out there and play, and you try
yeah,
and do it.
you go out there and make
Those
the
are the
cut.
stupid-
Like, I'm not going to make the cut. Like, that's not what I'm saying. When I say that it's awful that Spieth missed the cut at the Masters, I'm not saying that I can make the cut at the Masters. Like, it's just his expectations should be a lot higher than mine. But
Which
I have a
people fail
statement,
to realize.
and the statement is pulled out of his ass because everywhere you look. Well, first you looked at E1, and then you look at all the all the PGA Tour writers ranking players. Spieth, 11th, 9th. He's what in the official world golf ranking? He's still 13.
13, yeah.
Like, he pulled good numbers and a lot of good things out of a really disappointing season, in terms of results wise. So that's the statement I'd like to describe the season as.
I respect it. I think he
Well-
said at the Tour Championship like he'd give his season a C. I think the only reason he said that is I think because behind closed doors he's leaning closer to a D or an F. I mean, he literally was not in the picture at any of the four majors, and that's what he prides himself on. And he was abysmal. I mean, he finished T8 at St. Andrews, but like, that's a fake T8. He had no
Yeah.
chance of winning the golf tournament. He was worse than he was last year, which I think is I guess the big thing. Like last year was, I think for him and for us, a lot more fun. This year was
Yeah.
meh.
What's your meh? Is that your word?
I'm not gonna say failure because he won the golf tournament. Like that's still tough. I don't want to say disappointing because that's just bland. How about unfortunate? Because I think if he putts how he did in 2021, he probably wins twice. I know the irons probably weren't as consistent as they were in 2021, but he struck it off the tee beautifully, like all year. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunate.
hopefully that.
I mean,
Hopefully
even yeah, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say hopefully the T-ball stays because that's a big like he kept himself he strokes gained tee to green were good in part because the off the tee was really good too. So needs to keep that rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bar for the upcoming season is probably this season. I think that's the I'd love to see him. I had it as one of my goals on Instagram. Win once before the Masters. I think I'm gonna keep that going into this year. It'd be sick to just bag a win before Augusta. And I mean he's gonna play good 10, 11 times before Augusta. So I mean if he could pick off one of those, and I mean you're kind of playing with house money after that. Sorta. I mean, you still really want to play well, but I mean, if he could bag one before Augusta, could be a fun season. Well, he can't putt worse than he did this year. I guess that's a positive.
Um, my goal for the entire season is literally just to win a singles match. I just want to say we need to get that out of the way. You know, I mean, we don't talk about this enough, but like, it was really bad to only tie Fleetwood. I mean,
Fleetwood played well.
what was
To
he?
be fair.
Two
Pretty
up
well.
with 3 to play.
Was it that?
I think he
Fleetwood
was
won
one
like
up.
2.
It was he won 15 to go one up, but then I think Fleetwood just won 16, and then they split on 17 with 2 birdies, and then 18 they can both conceded like 5.5 footers.
Oh, yeah.
That definitely would have
So it
the
was
match. So
a Mickey Mouse tie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
anyway, yeah. Hopefully the President's Cup's better. Obviously, we'll have a little Quail Hollow President's Cup preview week. It's kind of coming soon. It's almost been a
Next
year
week.
for us.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would put tons on Tom Kim 6'5".
Oh yeah. Tom Kim is unreal. But
Yeah,
I
that
don't know if
kid's
you
a
guys
stud.
Tom Kim can golf his ball.
yes, he can.
I
Well, if you-
actually was looking earlier this evening to see when the first episode was. It was September 16th. So 2 days from now will be the 1 year anniversary of the Go Get That pod.
So we probably recorded when the day this is out.
If you're still listening,
Should I drop this? Yeah, if you're still listening, this might be coming out on the 16th.
I'm so sorry.
So we did 59 episodes in a year. That's pretty good. That's one for every week.
Yeah.
That's
And we took
impressive.
some like time off too.
Yeah.
So we'll have some more fun stuff in the fall as well. I think
The
it'll
real
be good.
question is, can he win more than once in the next 59 episodes? That's the real question.
That is the next question. It's a good question.
Dan, do we have a question in the pod?
We do.
There we
What a
go.
segue. Let's see here.
He wrote it down. There we go.
I did write it down. Well, I've had this one for a while now. Last time I asked about what people thought where is it? What the best sound in sports is. I've got
That was a
some
great
good
question.
responses for that. But so now, it's still kind of summer, but I was just thinking about this the other day. At what temperature for you
Ooh.
does short season end and pants season start?
Ooh.
And season is year long. baby.
Ew.
Not necessarily for golf, just in general. You would-
Really disappointed in this question because it's a pretty bad question.
No,
Because-
it's not.
No.
In February, 40 degrees is shorts. In
Okay, so I guess let me I think there's kind of two. I think short season to pants season, you get a different temperature from pants season to short season.
that's fair.
I think you're making this way too complicated now.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Anyway,
give me.
but what temperature do you choose pants?
Translation: what's hot and what's cold?
Yes.
I say 45
Um,
degrees.
I think 45 when it's light out. I mean when it's dark out. Or no, when it's light out. But like if it's like 60 degrees in the summer and it's at night, I'm probably wearing sweatpants outside.
Yeah.
See, I'm more of a like my legs don't get as cold, but my arms get cold. So like I'll wear a hoodie. Like if it gets to 50, 55, I'm wearing a hoodie.
Well, but again, I'm really disappointed in just the lack of like there's really no structure. Like it's just lacking structure, like
How so?
like when you go into a classroom and it's just like a bunch of guys talking, nothing gets done. Like that's what this question is. Like there's nothing happening. Like if I'm playing basketball, I'm wearing shorts in 50-degree weather. But if I'm
Yeah, because you're overthinking the question, Bob.
Exactly.
When do you start wearing pants in the fall?
I think that's a you problem personally, but
Okay. Well, you don't like
Come
my
up with your own
question.
damn question.
well, it's
I,
not called Bob's question of the pod. It's Bob's picture of the day.
Yeah, that's true. I actually don't know what my temperature is. All I know is that I like to wear pants. So whenever it's like low 60s,
I do love pants.
Were you wearing pants today?
me, no.
No.
Can you
Okay.
show us your legs?
But it was like 70s.
Leg reveal.
No. That'll be no. I will
When
say
we hit
though,
1,000 subscribers on YouTube, then or when we hit 1,000 followers on Twitter, Dan will show off his legs in 5-inch shorts.
yeah. Okay, I'll do that if we play golf in the Masters.
Masters.
Cause dude, I'm telling you, I think I might be.
Does Dan need to be added to the field?
I might.
next year's
I'm
Masters?
working my way to sponsors exemption.
Can you imagine if that would be changing if the
Flower
Masters
special.
changed from match play to stroke play?
Well,
Like a
'cause
3-man event.
I just shot a 75 the other day, so handicap's
You've
going
been
down.
playing, man.
I've been playing. So I'm coming for.
Well, I just want to say, first of
or
all,
whatever you guys play in Massachusetts.
Alex in the chat is just ridiculous. I for those of you who need context, the Masters is a Massachusetts. It's nicknamed.
It's invitational only.
Oh, it's the It's an invitational. It's the most prestigious event to walk God's great earth. And it's between me and a fellow friend named Ryan, and he's mentioned in this actually way too much because he says things that sometimes have points about Spieth. And well, it became a big thing over the summer. It was a huge event, and I obviously won a very hefty paycheck, and Dan being added to the field could be a huge. I mean, the purse would increase significantly. I mean, we're looking at live type. I mean, this would be a 50% increase in purse, which would
for
be
sure.
huge.
Yeah. Or we could get Jordan up there too and get a little Ryder Cup Masters.
Good Lord.
Whoa. Actually, can you imagine me and Ryan versus Dan and it's the Master
We'd get
squad versus
smacked.
the 2K squad
Yeah. I think the what?
versus the
smacked.
2K squad.
Oh.
Dan and JK.
Yeah, we I think we'd probably lose that one. But if it was, I mean, because I don't know how much Jordan's been playing.
Not at all. I don't like our odds,
Yeah,
especially in their home
Probably
turf. Like their home turf, like it wouldn't be a fair fight.
We've reached the point in the podcast where no one's listening.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to mention that I think I deserve a master's exemption.
The committee will discuss.
We need a
But-
title sponsor.
I have beef with the committee after last year's awful trial. I'm still not over that. There was a huge legal dispute about some rules changes that were agreed upon and then completely completely thrown as what was legally called a movement to disrupt the competition, which I thought was awful. But anyway, I mean, no one's listening to this, but I have beef with the committee. Long story short, I can try and talk it up with them, but it depends whether I'm willing to be the bigger man and start that conversation. So that'll do it for us today.
Yeah.
This was really off the rails for the second half, but it's late, and sometimes you just need to look at my face
All right.
and laugh.
I will
Live, laugh, love, everyone.
yeah, I'll make sure my questions have some more structure for you, Bob.
Thank you.
All right. We're signing off. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, see you guys.
Peace.